If you've been around in part 1 in late 2023, you probably have not seen the insane thing that was Test Realm. The 2023 Test Realm of Sinbad Part 3. Like, y'all thought Tema Tower was bad? Sinbad Part 3 had a huge difficulty spike. It was insane, dude. Yeah, so we're going to talk about the pre-nerfed version of Sinbad Free. If you thought, oh man, Sinbad Free is way too easy, wait, Sinbad Free is like baby mode, wait. I would agree, current Sinbad Free, yeah, like I would say it's like big baby mode. But you past Sinbad Free was horrible, dude. For the occasion, I decided to go ahead and do a solo no comp run because I haven't done one in a while. Like, it's been a few months since I posted my last no comp solo video, so I decided for this commentary I'm going to go ahead and put some gameplay of me soloing this with no companions on my private tier. The full video is obviously not going to be in here, but I decided I might as well put 2 videos in one, just so you can know what to look forward to for the next video. More specifically, in Wheeler's Lair. But yeah, back to the commentary. So, the entirety of Sinbad Free, not even just Wheeler's Lair, was horrible. I forgot if they even nerfed the stuff before it came to Live Realm. I think they did, but I can't recall correctly. But basically, if you weren't around for Test Realm or Sinbad Free, like, back then, it was wild, dude. But yeah, Sinbad Free. Sinbad Free was absolutely the most ridiculously hard thing in Part 1-1. The pre-nerfed version, that is. The pre-nerfed version of Sinbad Free was horrible to say the least, dude. To say the least. I came in there like, oh yeah, I'm gonna clap this dungeon, I'm gonna clap this Sinbad part, I'm finna go ahead and get to the next part easy peasy. Wait, this for me white work too. Oh my god, why is everyone dying? Oh my god, it was bad, y'all. It's bad. Like, I thought I was gonna walk in there all big and bad slowly, but then I came out in barely one piece, bro. Like, by the end of that, my girl had to barely, like, a lot of her companions, bro, cause the amount of times they had to get revived in that dungeon, like, in both of those dungeons, really. Oh my god. But let's go ahead and start from the beginning of Sinbad Free. Let's go ahead and talk about something that's already crazy. Let's go ahead and talk about Claw in the Tunnels of Darkness. So, the Tunnels of Darkness. I would say, I don't think the tigers were that bad. I don't remember them being all that bad in Test Realm. They weren't too bad. Like, they were a little hard, but they weren't like too bad. Like, they're just a typical difficult mob. So the mob fights there, they weren't a huge issue. But the issue starts to come in when you fight Claw for the first time. So if you don't know Claw, Claw is the first boss you fight in Sinbad Part 3. He's a musket, basically an anti-musket boss. He has loads of range, he has haywire shots. He is a chainer as well, so he can do lots of damage from afar. And you guys, I don't know if they even play tested this, but they gave him and his minions like bloated stats. And I mean bloated. I mean bloated accuracy, bloated dodge, bloated weapon power, like bloated pretty much almost everything. Like, I don't know if they thought we were like level 100 or something, but Claw used to like one-shot or nearly one-shot companions with a single crit. Like, that's insane. And I think on top of that, he has Witch Hunter. So, yeah, this part was anti-witch too. Which is, wow. Like, I forgot how many attempts it took me to beat him, but he was a horrible boss. If you were there on test run, or if you were there for a little bit, like around 2023 or 2023, you would know what I'm talking about. Like, yo, I get that they want to make stuff challenging, but there's a difference between challenging and outright impossible or outright annoying. Like, there's a difference between the two. There's a difference. Challenging is stuff like, you gotta strategize. Like, you gotta make sure, like, you gotta have a plan, right? Sometimes you may have to use unusual companions. Sometimes you may have to use different types of gear. Sometimes you just have to strategize. Like strategize for powers a little. Stuff like that. And, you can actually survive hits. Like, at least a pirate can actually at least survive hits. But even a pirate would not survive, y'all. Like, even a pirate, the captain himself would die pretty fast to these bosses. That's how insane this was. If you didn't have a fort or absorb anything, you were cooked. And even then, they go for force and absorbs like paper. Like, they go right through that. And that's insane by itself. And you guys might think, oh man, Claw must have sucked, huh? Oh yeah, he did. Don't worry, it gets worse. So, let's go ahead and head to the second part of Sinbad, the much harder part, Maribone. Alright, so Maribone. The first mobs we fight are these guys, the radical dog copies, basically. They used to have bloated stats too. Like, not that bloated, like, it wasn't that crazy, but they still had a, scary amount of weapon power. They still had a scary amount of, accuracy, all that stuff. Accuracy and dodge was a bit more manageable to counter, but that's really because, I was a privateer. But y'all, wait till later on. Y'all finna hear something insane, dude. And I wish I was making that up. But yeah, back to the dogs. The dogs weren't that hard. Though they did have more epics. I forgot to tell you guys. They also nerfed the epics on these guys. I didn't really have an issue with the epics. It was just more so the stats. Like, they bloated the stats so much. It was nearly impossible to solo without deaths. Or really nearly impossible to solo at all without summoning henchmen. Like, I had to solo so many henchmen to get these fights done. Like, at least in Weaver's Lair. That's how bad Weaver's Lair was. They weren't that bad. Just your typical buccaneers with their charges. Like, they weren't that bad. The weapon power was a little scary, but not all that crazy. Like, it's not claw levels of crazy. And these guys, these foxes and these cats, these blue herring guys, they were worse. And more specifically, the foxes, the blue herring enforcers, I think. Yeah, the blue herring enforcers. They were worse, dude. They were worse than the cats. The worst the cats would do is, like, punch you from afar. Like, I didn't know why they did that at first. Like, I was playing for the first time. I didn't know why they punched you from afar at first. I didn't know if it was bugged or whatever. But I checked their, I hover over them. I hover over their image. Turns out they're a witch doctor. Yeah, see, I thought the game was pretty bugged, because what do you mean these guys could keep punching me from across the map? Like, that didn't make any sense to me. But yeah, these guys are witch doctors. Like, see, like, you can't tell that at a first glance unless you hover over their images. But I wish they at least went back and gave these guys, like, animations with their hands, like put like magic around their hands and stuff, so you could at least tell that they're witch doctors. Cause I'm gonna be real with y'all, like, quite a bit of time I thought these guys were buccaneers, but they're just buggy and broken, so they could just like punch me a million times from afar. But yeah, back to the foxes. The foxes, they're also anti-witch, don't worry. They're also somewhat anti-musk like Claw, except they didn't have true grit, I don't think. But these guys had so much weapon power. I think these guys have, like, depending on their level, by the way, I think these guys had like around 500 to 600 weapon power. You might be like, that ain't bad insane. Like, that ain't bad insane. Until you realize that's more weapon power than the captain, y'all. If you have more weapon power than a captain or a Swash companion, the mob is probably overtuned. And this is just a mob. These guys have full chains. These guys had Witch Hunter. I can't recall if they had Witch Hunter free. I think they had Witch Hunter 2, but it was increased to 1. But yeah, these guys had Witch Hunter. Like, ranged classes would struggle against these guys. Sometimes my Privy would struggle against these guys, because if I didn't fort myself or absorb, I would die so easily. And you might be like, girl, this is just a skill issue. And like, you know what? If it wasn't so overtuned, I'd agree with you. Because I'm not gonna lie, y'all, I wasn't the best player ever in late 2023. I wasn't that bad. I wasn't as good as I am now. But yeah, these guys were way, way, way overtuned. It was insane. Like, these foxes would chain people to death. They had bombs too. I didn't have issue with the bombs. I can't remember if their spell power was crazy. Probably was. Wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I didn't care about their bombs. Like, I think mobs should definitely have powers. Definitely. And these blue herring anarchists, I think that's the cats who pretend to be buccaneers but are actually witches for some reason. I think they had lots of weapon power. I can't recall, but I think they had a lot more. And I think a lot more spell power, but I could be wrong. These guys also have Akiboros. I think that's the only power they had. I don't really care about the powers. Like I said, I think mobs should have powers. Like, they should definitely be able to use powers, because it's not fun when mobs just run right at you and nothing else. But yeah, now we're gonna go ahead and go on to the big bad of this part. My arch nemesis of this part. Wheeler's Lair. Y'all, Wheeler's Lair was horrible. It was horrible. Like, pre-nerfed, it was bad. Like, you can tell nobody tested this, because these guys, I kid you not, the golems in there had a buttload of accuracy, a buttload of health, a buttload of dodge, a buttload of weapon power, just straight up overtuned stuff. I don't know if they're trying to discourage people from soloing, because this is a co-op game and this is a multiplayer game. But if they were, I'm sorry, but inflating bosses and mob stats is not the way to do it. Not at all. Not at all, dude. Like, if you want to discourage players from soloing, well, make the bosses more challenging. Like, make these guys more challenging. Don't overinflate their stats, because y'all, even full teams struggle with this. I'm not playing. Full teams will struggle with this. Like, witch doctors, musketeers, they're kind of useless, really. Because the foxes, the anti-witches in the dungeon, there were a lot of them. And then we go to the second boss of this part. The Blue Herring Mastermind. See, now if you definitely play Sinbad free, you should remember how bad this guy was. Y'all, the first round he would one-shot half the players and their companions. I'm so serious. If you didn't fort yourself, or if you didn't fort a companion, you would die the first turn. It was so easy to die to this guy. Eventually, I just came up with the strat that you just gotta charge at him. You gotta charge at him. He's also an anti-musk. He's also a huge chainer, so basically quad, but worse, really. This guy had buttloads of weapon power. This guy would do like over 2,000 damage with his Phantom Hammer. And like, usually, you know, that's the Duck of Death, right? I'm fine with that, right? That's the Obsidian Duck of Death, right? Like, he does lots of damage with his Phantom Hammer, but not 2,000. He does like less than half of that, depending on if he crits or not. Like, that's insane. 2,000? And if he crit, if the Blue Mastermind crit, by the way, everyone was dead. Everyone. Absolutely everyone. And alongside him would be those golems, those overtuned golems, the overtuned cats, the overtuned foxes. These guys had such cracked stats, it was really impossible to solo. It was possible in a team, but you're probably going to die a lot, or you're probably going to have people dying a lot and have to revive them. You are definitely going to need privateers for this, like definitely. If privateers were most needed at a time, it was in pre-nerf Sinbad free, bro. And this ain't even the worst part. Well, I mean, I guess it was, because in my opinion, the Blue Herring Mastermind is worse than Bran, because, you know, just a fan of hammer and range alone, it sucks. Like, he has lost the range, lost weapon power. Like, that's horrible. That was horrible. But I guess Bran, like, pre-nerf Bran wasn't all that cool to deal with either. But after the boss fight, we go on to fight more golems. This time, instead of privateer golems, we have the swash golems. I remember earlier when I said, hey, watch out for this one part where I mentioned this was bad. Like this was bad. Like, they were so overtuned. Y'all, I was using Battle Zeal, right? And let me tell you something real quick. I used Battle Zeal, right? At the time, I used Storm Repel 5. I just ran the normal companions, like Scratch, Gracie, another companion. I forgot who. But, yeah, my usual free companions back then. Despite my Battle Zeal and its spirits, I kept missing these guys. These guys have a crap ton of weapon power. Ripple is free. A crap ton of chain abilities. And a crap ton of movement. They also have a crap ton of health too. Like, not that much health, but, well, a decent bit of it, really. So, I kept missing. Like, despite me having accuracy buff stacked on, I was so confused. I was wondering why I was missing so much. Why are me and my companions missing so much? Like, is this a bug, or am I just really unlucky? Like, by the way, my base accuracy wasn't even all that low. It wasn't all that low. With a Zeal or two, usually you're able to hit a mob, like, around level 70. Like, usually, dude. So, I thought this was, like, bug for some reason. I wasn't in a server at this time, so I was just here struggling. Like, I didn't know why these guys were dodging so much. But then one day, I bring up the War Golem, like, you know, Gracie's minion that has Hold the Line free and all that. One of these Swash minions ran into that Golem. Got hit by Hold the Line free. After that round, I took the leisure to check why he's dodging so much, or how much dodge he lost. Y'all, he lost around 160 dodge. Half of his dodge was 160, around that. That means these guys, pre-nerfed, had at least 300 dodge. Muskets were throwing at him. People with Battle Zeal were throwing at him. You couldn't hit these guys at all if you didn't have Hold the Line. Like, period. And if you missed, that was basically a death sentence. You would die. These guys' explosions used to do a crap ton of damage. Like, if you miss, you would get chained to death and die. If you were too close and you had like low health and one exploded near you, you would probably die. But these guys were so overtuned, it's not even funny. 300 dodge? I don't know who did this back in the day. I don't know who these guys, like, I don't know who set the mobs, y'all. I don't know who gave these mobs the stat they were given. I don't know. Like, I felt accomplished when I finally sold that horrible Nightmare of a Dungeon, but who designed this? Did they even play test this? Like, those are my top 2 questions. Like, did y'all even play test this? Because why are these guys one-shotting? Why are these guys even killing captains so easily? Like, if anything, a captain, typically, regardless of class, is the hardest one to kill. Typically. Like, the captain is objectively the best of all the companions. Like, regardless of class, it's hard for the captain to die. Even musketeers couldn't shoot these guys, y'all. Around 300 dodge. Over it, really. And on top of that, I think they had elusive free. So it become even harder to hit them. But I guess Swashes should have high dodge. Definitely. But bear in mind, these guys aren't even bosses. They're mobs. And you said to kill I think you said to kill 8 of them to press on the dungeon. So that means you have to deal with these guys along with the occasional overtuned fox, overtuned cat. And you just have to pray you don't get your butt kicked. Like, I would have to summon henchmen here, bro. It was bad. It was bad. But also remember, it was bad. Way worse than Temba Tower. Temba Tower was hard, but at least it wasn't overtuned. Like, it was still manageable. Even with that crazy musket boss, in 4-6, it was manageable. The worst thing about that was at the time it didn't have recall, I think. So that was the worst part about Temba Tower. But all these dungeons were overtuned in Sinbad Free, like absolutely overtuned. Like, y'all, people with 300 dodge is what we should be facing, like level 100 at least, or like level 90 at least. Not level 70. Like, girl, I want to know who made this. I want to know who made a pre-nerf version of Sinbad Free, bro. I want to know. Because that was an insane time, dude. And now we get to the final part of this part, I believe. The final part of Sinbad Part 3. In the dungeon. Bran the Raven Lord. Now, I don't think Bran was all that bad. Like, I would argue that he was probably one of the least bad things in there. Like, I forgot how bad he was, so I guess he wasn't that bad compared to the other mobs and all that crap. But I think he had, like, bows and weapon power too. You know, the usual overtuned stats. Like, overtuned accuracy, overboard dodge, overboard weapon power, overboard everything, really. And I think he had more than one charge. I could be wrong, but I think he did. Or he at least had vicious charge, because now he uses brutal charge. So, I don't know if he had vicious charge back then, I forgot. But he was tough, y'all. He was tough. I think I defeated him with ease compared to the other bosses in this entire thing, though. Like, the entire Sinbad Part 3, so that should really say something. Yeah, the overtuned mobs and golems were there with him, but Bran was the easiest one for me in pre-nerf Sinbad Free. And even he was kind of overtuned. So, I think, like, I can't remember if they nerfed this before it came out in Live Room or a little after it came out in Live Room. I can't remember, but pre-nerf Sinbad Free, it's a nightmare, but I hope to never run into again. No game dev, really nobody should be overtuning these guys as much as they were. Like, yeah, you would probably see it as a challenge. But like I said earlier, there's a difference between a challenge and just outright annoying or outright impossible fights. Like, you can make things challenging without overblowing enemy stats. Like, they've already proven that in recent updates, which I appreciate. I appreciate that they're not overblowing the enemy stats anymore because that was insane. 300 dodge, and it's not even a swash boss, it's a mob. Like, by the way, this is 300 base dodge. With elusive, they have around 400. Like, over 400, really. So, like, those swash skulls were actually my nightmare. I think those are the worst things that I faced in that dungeon. Off the blue herring mastermind, who used to use fan and hammer like every round, I think. Then he got those taken away, I guess. Or he just rarely uses it. I don't know. But, yeah. Sinbad free. Pre-nerf Sinbad free. It was a time I most definitely did not miss. It was most certainly a time I hated. Because what do you mean? You're fine with all this being overtuned as hell. But, yeah. Pre-nerf Sinbad free. I do wish that they didn't nerf it as hard as they did. Because some of these enemies now have lesser versions of certain powers. But I feel like powers weren't the issue. Except the overtuned fan and hammer, of course. That was a huge issue. Other than that, those powers weren't the issue. It was just melee versus stats. Like, you would get one shot. You or your team would just get one shot. Immediately. Depending on the boss. Usually people will fall the most to the blue herring mastermind. Which is pretty insane. Like, wow. I feel like they could have just nerfed their stats. And like, the health also got nerfed with some of these guys. Like, I noticed that the golems, their health got nerfed to like under 2k. These swash golems got even less health. But I don't think their health was the problem. Well, I do appreciate that they consider that. I don't think health and powers were the problem. I feel like it's just the stats. Like the accuracy of dodge, the weapon power, the spell power. Like, that was horrible. Like, if you're gonna throw that stuff at us at level 100. Not in storyline content. It's in the sequence, y'all. It's in the sequence. So if you make something borderline impossible to pass, nobody's gonna pass it unless they're like a team of all privateers. Pre-nerf Sinbad free was a weird time. If you guys want to know how bad this was, unfortunately I didn't make videos at the time. It was like a few months after that update came out when I started making content. But if you guys do want to know how bad it was, because you weren't there or you probably like forgot how bad it was, you can go ahead and check out some videos. There are some videos on YouTube that go over the pre-nerf Sinbad free, the test run version. This was so bad. Like, some of these bosses well over had 10,000 health at least, or around that, along with the boy stats. Insane, dude. Insane. But yeah, expect the full Soul video tomorrow. And with all out of the way, I'll go ahead and see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.